What is conservatism? What is it not, and how does it differ from the left in today's politics? These are questions that need to be asked and answered much more frequently. The sad truth is that young people like me tend to lean left, and as time moves forward, they sway further and further left. A quick look at some of the highest colleges in the land will show that not only are students leaning left, but that socialism and even communism are becoming favorable topics. Perhaps, I thought, the best way to combat this is to combat the slew of misinformation against what conservatism and capitalism are by adding more diverse voices that will break through the echo chamber of left belief. My name is Israel, and this is my take. So, what is conservatism? Well, from the very founding of America, the founding fathers and the earliest Americans had one large differing view that separated them into political parties. That was, how big should the government be? Before the Democrats and Republicans of today, we had the Federalist and the Anti-Federalist. The Anti-Federalist would align most with the views of the modern left, believing in a very strong, if not indefinitely powerful, centralized government. The Federalist, on the other hand, which would align with today's Republican Party, felt just the opposite. Conservatism believes that the roles of the government should be limited to that of sheer necessity. In essence, conservatism understands that power should go from the bottom up and not the other way around. Conservatism knows that the individual is more attuned to govern themselves and that the federal government should get out of the way as much as possible. Conservatism holds the Constitution to the highest regard, understanding that the framework for the very country we hold dear is laid out in that old parchment and that the truth it holds are still relevant today. Conservatism is a political belief system that concerns itself with statistics, law and order, and constitutionality. Conservatism also understands that human rights should not be seen as appointed by an all-powerful government, but by an all-powerful God, and therefore no government or person can interfere or take away your human rights. In the United States, our human rights are listed in the Constitution as amendments and therefore the highest order of law in the land. To change the Constitution, there must be an overwhelming agreement in Congress, Senate, and even the states themselves. And finally, conservatism believes not only in a free people, but a free market capitalist economy that allows people to succeed under their own merit. The belief is that the federal government should stand out of your way. You should be allowed to succeed or fail based solely on your decisions as an American citizen. Now I want to talk about what conservatism is not. Conservatism is not the breeding ground for hatred, bigotry, racism, sexism, Islamophobia, or whatever buzzwords the left would like to throw around. In fact, these words are only tools to shut down debate before the free flow of ideas can even begin. Conservatism is not a you must blank or else you are blank kind of political belief system. I'm a Hispanic man, and I've been looked at weird and when discussing politics have been asked, you're a Mexican. You should be voting Democrat, shouldn't you? Isn't that the idea of racism? That due to the color of my skin or some other immutable characteristic that I should vote a certain way? Also, the same holds true to any other Hispanic, Latino, Black, gay, and even women. To be one of the members of these, as the left calls victim groups, and not be a member of the left, is to be a self-hating, brainwashed, in the case of the black woman or black man, an Uncle Tom who does not know how to think for themselves. Case in point, after the 2016 presidential election in which President Trump was elected, a prominent left-leaning channel gave coverage. The Young Turks had Anna Kasparian speaking out against women that voted Republican. To give a direct quote, I have no respect for women who voted for Trump. I think so poorly of them, and the reason why is because, look, I don't think you are a single-issue voter. I just think you're dumb. I think you are bleeping dumb. End quote. Because apparently a woman cannot make her own decisions for her own motives. Conservatism freed the slaves. Conservatism gave us civil rights. Conservatism gave women the right to vote, and even now it is conservatism that is helping to liberate Arab countries and territories from the radical terrorists of ISIS. Conservatism, as stated before, holds the Constitution and the rights granted therein to the highest standard in the land. Freedom of speech, conservatives know, is the freedom to give speech that others do not agree with. You do not need to protect speech that the majority agrees with. You need to protect that which is not agreeable. Riots and protests to stop conservatives from so much as walking on a college campus are rampant and are a blatant disregard for the liberties of the Constitution. Conservatives believe that the free flow of ideas, which is why we are ready and willing to engage in honest discussion without trying to stifle debate with buzzwords and personal attacks. More on the economic front, the Conservative Party believes in as little regulation as possible, none in an ideal world. The left will attempt to regulate the market for its own interests while not fully understanding repercussions of certain principles of economics. For instance, when Bernie Sanders, who is not exactly a fringe leader for the Democratic Party, speaks about the plans he has to fight corporate greed, he always issues the same companies and families, right? The Koch brothers, the Waltons of Walmart, you know the names. What he fails to mention, and what people fail to understand, is that the vast majority of business in America is small business. According to the U.S. Census Bureau in 2014, there were 5.83 million employer firms in the U.S. Businesses with less than 500 employees made up 99.7% of that 5.83 million. Businesses with less than 20 workers made up 89.4% of businesses in the U.S. Conservatism wants to make it to where these mom and pop shops that are working hard, taking the risk, laying it all on the line, and even taking heavy losses their first few years in business have as much opportunity to succeed and grow as possible. Whereas the left seeks to punish people for success, conservatives believe in the American dream. The American dream was always to make a better life for your family. Whether you are a legal immigrant or a natural-born citizen, you should have the right to succeed here in the U.S. and to do so under your own power. We hold the belief in autonomy and self-independence, self-reliance, and personal responsibility. A nation can only be as free as her citizens. Conservatism is the proud notion of equality, that all men and women are made in the image of God, and that you should be free from government interference as much as possible. How much more free and more equal can you be than to say that it does not matter your race, your ethnicity, your sex, your religion, or your creed? If you are willing to work and fight for what you believe in, America will be home for you, and you can succeed here, and you deserve the fruits of your own labor. More conversations is the best way for the flow of ideas to happen, and the only way we can do that is to secure a free nation for the years to come. We need to speak more to young people about what conservatism actually is. And by young people, I don't mean the indoctrination of young kids that are inside elementary school all the way up into high school. I mean young adults that are trying their best to understand the political system that they're going to be partaking in whenever they're grown. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Leave me any kind of feedback. Thank you very much.